Group.
This is a good eating size already.
So we just put down part one of the bracket to hold the solar panels down. They've got these rubber washers underneath with some mastic and a screw with a washer over the top that's fixed down into timbers underneath the roof metal, and then we are going to bolt this section to this, and then the solar panel is going to sit on top of here, and we're going to bolt the solar panel down to the top of this. After it may not even land there. So center the hole.
Am I on the? No, hold on. Sorry.
Center of that. Yeah, that works. Yeah. So what we're doing, we've fixed down that first bracket, and now we need this top bracket to run 860 millimeters from the center of the hole to the center of this hole. So that bracket being fixed means we have some wiggle room on this bracket to find the center of that hole. This is where the bracket needs to land. Right. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Gonna have to screw this one in a bit.
Cool. Okay. It's gonna be tight. Lovely jubbly.
You okay?
Yeah. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. So 1095, if I work that way back, 1095 from where your bit's gonna go, and then that's where my panel's gonna land, and I've got plenty of room there. And spread that like that. Yep. Yep. Do you want an extension bar on it? Yep. Okay, so we've been mounting the solar panels over the past couple of days. What we've done in the video, we've flipped it slightly, so we put the bracket, the taller side, up on this one. It just gives a better pitch to the solar panel to allow the water to run off. We come into a little bit of a mistake in terms of being able to bolt up the middle ones. Once we've done that on one panel, we shut ourselves in. So these middle two could get a bolt on that one, but when we pushed this panel up to it, we couldn't get a bolt underneath because we can't get to it. So we've screwed in a little bracket on the outsides, and so it's only the outsides that are bolted down. Just having a little look at the wiring that we are doing, and we are doing a combination of series and parallel. So these two panels are going to be wired in series. Those two panels are going to be wired in series, and then we're going to link the two together in parallel. So from this one, I'm running the negative to the positive, and that links those in series. And I'm running the negative of that panel to the positive of that panel, and that links them in series. And then we're going to take the positive of that and the positive of this and link them with this 2-to-1 branch connector. And that takes both of our positives and sends it out in one cable. We're then going to run that into our charge controller in the container. The benefit of doing it like this is the two units act as individual units, opposed to linking everything up in series. And if there's cloud coverage that comes over, the circuit is not very efficient. Whereas if they're acting as individual units, they have a better efficiency. So another benefit of combining parallel and series is when you connect in series, you connect all the voltage together and the amps stay the same. When you wire things up in parallel, the amps add up together and the voltage stay the same. With a lot of charge controllers, ours could handle whatever we decided up here. But if we wanted to add more panels in the future, we've got a 100 amp charge controller, and so we need to bear in mind, if each panel puts out about 10 amps, you know, you can connect a max of 10. You wouldn't want to push it that far, but you know, if you add them in parallel and you added 10 thingies, you're going to be pushing the limit of your charge controller. So depending on what your spec of charge controller is, you can sort of combine the two and get a lesser total of those, and therefore it's going to be more friendly for your charge controller. So we've got this piece of wood which we're going to mount to the wall. That's going to go up here, and then we're going to mount the charge controller, all the fuse boards and etc. here, and then we're going to run the board down there that picks up the batteries, and so everything's up in the air and out of our way. Using this same angled iron to create a bracket to mount to the wall. Nick's been working on something to carry the batteries. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about our electronic systems for a moment and just show you what we've got going on here. This is my second time setting up a solar system. I really like this inverter charge controller. I like the all-in-one units. That's really nice and neat. I'd just like to show you what we're doing and how we're running it, and I'll try to keep it simple. I have got my positive and my negative of my solar panels coming through here. They run through some trunking all the way across the top. They come down, positive and negative comes down here, and then they're coming into the underside of the charge controller in PV, positive and negative. And so we have two solar panels. We have 4 solar panels. They're wired in 2 sets of 2. So we wired 2 into series, the other 2 into series, and then we've joined them in parallel. So the power comes out of the charge controller through this fuse board, as that protects the charge controller. If anything was to come back to the charge controller, the fuse would blow. It distributes the power to this red bus bar, which is our live bus bar. From there, you can use it as a bit of a distribution central hub and run live wires from here. This live wire is lighting up this 12-volt fuse board. And so it goes through a fuse and into this 12-volt fuse board. Likewise, from this, I could run a positive out of here, as long as I've got a fuse in there, and a negative from out of here. A negative comes out of the charge controller to this negative bus bar and then redistributes to all of our negative requirements. Looney's got a ball underneath all of this timber, and so we're going to have to go rescue it. Right. Recovered. Happy doggy. So AC out, what does that look like? A 12-volt system runs on direct current, DC, and the AC is what will power 240 volts. And so this charge controller will invert power from 12 volts to 240 volts. To do that, we run an AC out, live and neutral, comes up into this fuse board, into this main fuse, and is redistributed from these into the other fuses. And so the power comes in through the top and goes into this one. And similarly, it has a bus bar up the top, which lives up all of the other fuses. If I want to run something out of this RCD unit, because I have lived it up here, running power into it, and then distributed that power through these, all I have to do is connect a positive, which is the brown, into a bottom of one of these fuses, a negative up onto my negative bus bar, earth it up, and run that into and wire it into the back of the socket or whatever I wish to run off of 240. We've got outside sockets running on 240. We've currently got all this light set up, and this is why I'm showing you all of this before I put this all away into nice neat boxes. And so we've also got an extension lead running down here, which currently charges all of our batteries and our phones and all the bits and bobs like that. So again, this charge controller will convert 12 volt through here and redistribute it as 240 volts. This is a 3,500 watts charge controller. And the other day I was welding with a 2,500 watt welding machine on full power, and it did not struggle. So I managed to get all the welding done, and I was really pleased with that. We do have a 5,500 watt version of this, but it's 48 volts. So this one's 24 volts, and what that means is we've got our two batteries here. They are currently 12 volt batteries, but if I wire them in series, you add the voltage. So 12 volts and 12 volts gives me 24 volts, and then that will power up this charge controller. So how we've connected the batteries in series is we have taken our first battery's positive and we have connected it to the second battery's negative. We've then taken the second battery's positive and we run that all the way to the bus bar, the positive bus bar. So the power comes through here and all the way to the second battery. The second battery is connected to the first battery from the negative to the positive. And then with this negative of the first battery, we run that to our bus bar. It's important to keep the cables the same length. And like I said before, it gives me 24 volts. So we've got 3 banks of lights here, 3 radial circuits. That they have their own switch which deals with each room. How we've done that is they all come from the same fuse. So what we've run out here is we've got our positive and our negative banks, and then our earth is going to connect into the earth. And what happens is the power comes into one of these Wagos. It would be better if I had 5-port Wago clips, but I don't. I only have 3s, and so I had to go from a positive to another Wago to give me more distribution points. The power comes out to my switch, into my switch, and then it comes out of the switch. It runs up and it runs to my first set of lights, the positive of my first set of lights, and the negative come all the way across and connected to the first set of lights. And then from that set of light, positive and negative, we run to the second positive and negative of that set of lights, and that allows me to turn these off as a whole unit. So it looks way nicer, obviously, with this white trunking stuff coming out of here. I don't know why I was thinking it would look neat just having it clipped up. These switches are hanging because there's a wall going here, and so they'll go into a switch box on the wall. But at a minute, that's just first fixed into place. But yeah, looking much, much, much neater. I need to go and buy some more. I don't know what the name is. Trunking, conduit. Is conduit outside and trunking's inside? I don't know. Is it the same? Is one American, one English? Who knows? But it looks neater like that, so we're going to go get some more. So the charge controller is what gives you the wattage of your capacity, pretty much. The battery is the storage of that. So let's do a little calculation. For example, if we had a 2000 watt electrical heater in here, if you're on a 12 volt system, you'd do a calculation like this. 2000 divided by 12. That's 166. A 2000 watt electrical heater on a 12 volt system would use 166 amps per hour. So I have 600 amps worth of battery capacity here. If I divide that by 166, I would get 3.5 hours of continuously running a 2000 watt heater before I completely ran out my system. But I'm on a 24 volt system, so it changes slightly. So a washing machine uses, they vary, but use around 1,400. Just a quick Google search gave me anywhere between 500 and 1,500 watts of usage. So if I was to work that out on my system, 1,400 divided by 24 gives me 58 amps per hour. I have a 600 amp battery capacity, so it's going to be nearly 10 hours. 600 divided by 58, it's over 10.3 hours of running a washing machine with my battery bank before I'm completely empty. You obviously have to take in consideration the other stuff you're going to be running, but this has no necessarily effect on my charge controller. My charge controller will give me up to 3,500 watts of power, and you can spend that how you like. If I have the washing machine on and I run a kettle at the same time, you're going to be pushing the 3,500 mark, which is not going to be good for your charge controller. If I do 3,500 divided by 24, because I'm on a 24 volt system, I'm using 3,500 watts. It gives me 145 amps per hour. So I would drain my batteries within 4 hours. Now, you have to be, wary with how you utilize your electricity. But those battery banks can replenish very quickly when the sun comes back out, and I can get over like 800, 900, 1,000 volts coming in through solar per hour, and it recharges the batteries really, really quickly. So yes, we have to use the batteries wisely, but if you have a good system going, you can replenish those batteries really quick.
A bit wet though, mate.
Good day to be testing out the water system, huh? Or setting the water system up.